This is the Comics Alternative, on location in April at Valhalla Games and Comics in Plano, Texas. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Comics Alternative on location here at Valhalla Games and Comics in Plano, Texas. They're located at 1300 Independence Parkway in Plano, Texas. If you're in the area, then definitely stop on in and say, hey, show me some comics, educate me, make some suggestions, because these are the guys to do it. That's Valhalla Games and Comics in Plano, Texas. And so here we are in April with the On Location show, and joining us this time around, who hasn't been with us, I guess, the past 2 months, is one of the employees of Valhalla, and that is Nick. How are you doing?
Good. Glad to be here. And
then right next to him is Matt. Matt?
Hello, everybody.
Glad to see you back again. You've become like a fixture. So if you're not here to do the On Location show, we just can't do it.
It's either I or Craig. It's just how it is.
Yeah. And Craig, for listeners of our monthly On Location show, Craig is someone who usually joins us every single month, but he can't because of hockey.
Yeah,
hockey playoffs are tonight, and he's actually at the game, so I can't blame him too much because he has tickets, but he really should be here.
Yeah.
Well,
but he's taking his mother too, so
I believe so. I mean, That's a nice, bonding experience, I guess.
Hockey's his kryptonite.
It really is.
So they're going to be 3 of us for a while, and then you're going to have to man the register after a while, Nick, and then we may or may not have other people coming in. But hey, we're here just to talk, and we have no set agenda, we have no set theme for this month, because next month is Free Comic Book Day. That will be our On Location show. And we'll definitely talk about the Free Comic Book Day titles. So we thought we'd use this month just to kick back and, discuss whatever.
Yeah, okay.
Sounds good.
So now, one thing I'd like to just bring up in terms of the whatever is conventions, because we have entered the beginning of the con season.
Correct.
And did either of you go to Dallas Fan Expo a couple weekends ago?
I was working here, so Freddie could go.
Did Freddie go?
Yes, he went for Saturday.
Okay. I didn't see him. I was there Saturday as well.
I heard it was an absolute madhouse.
Oh, it was. It was the most crowded I've ever seen a Dallas convention, which I guess is good for them, but it was crowded.
I have a feeling it was because of the failures that had happened at the New Year's Eve con that they did last year. So I have a feeling everyone went to this to kind of make up for that lost time that they had there.
I didn't know that they did one New Year's Eve.
They did. And that's sort of the thing of they didn't really advertise it except over Facebook. They were mismanaging money. They had people walking out in the middle of the show. There were just a lot of problems that I've heard of. So, yeah. I didn't go personally.
Huh. Well, I went and had a really successful time this year. I define successful in terms of the podcast. I mean, I can have a good time outside of the podcast.
Of course.
Sure. But I was able to talk to a number of people, a number of creators who were there. And I don't know, in the past, lately, there have not been the variety of artists and writers and even publishers in Artist Alley that I haven't already talked to multiple times for me to justify doing the show. And so I know I went there I went to the Dallas Con back in, I think at the very beginning of June last year for their big one, and had a good time. Didn't see anyone there that I wanted to interview. That I hadn't talked with before. So I just didn't do an on-location show. This time around I did. So that's what I mean by successful. And this time there were a lot of creators. And
nice.
There were creators there that I ideally would like to speak with, but I couldn't just because they were very busy and didn't have time. Or if they did have the time, then they were available at a time where I couldn't be. For example, Tom King, I met him, and he was on a break when I talked to him, and he said he'd like to be on the podcast. He said, I have a signing in a few minutes. Can you come back around later? And I said, well, yeah, when? He said, 6 o'clock.
Ooh.
I was planning on being gone by that point. So I said, well, maybe we can have you on the podcast for a regular interview like one-on-one. He said, yeah, sure. So at least there's that.
Yeah, there's a lead.
Yeah, but my main point is there was a variety of people there, good crowd, and I think because this year they combined the winter and the spring cons into. I'm assuming that's what they did into the cons, because there was nothing in February as there normally has been, and instead of waiting till May or even early June for the really big one, they held it in that first weekend in April. So
it would make sense of them pulling everything together to make the best con that they're able to.
Yeah, and I'd rather them do that than do the more frequent events. Like it had been that they were doing 3 a year.
Yeah.
And the fall, the winter, and then the spring. And the spring was the big one. The winter and fall one, touch and go.
They're little fillers.
Yeah. Yeah. But now, did you go, Matt, to the
I did not.
Dallas Con?
We were busy doing something that weekend, weren't we? We sat and watched WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah, that's what we did on Sunday. It was WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah.
So
we did that.
WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah.
We all met at the other regular of the show, Craig's house, and we all just had a little mini party.
Okay. See, I'm not into wrestling, so I don't know. Educate me. What is WrestleMania?
It's essentially the biggest show of the year. So in essence, it would be like the Super Bowl of there's a lot of celebrity appearances, and it's a large multimedia event, not just pure wrestling.
Okay.
Flo Rida was there, Pitbull, like a lot of very famous pop artists are there to bring in the numbers.
Okay.
I mean, I don't care about it personally. I'm there for the wrestling, but it's more than that.
Yeah, it was their halftime show, I guess.
Essentially.
The equivalent, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Not familiar with that world. But
did you pick up anything good while you were at the Fan Expo this year?
yeah, actually, one of the things I did get was the soft cover omnibus of Strangers in Paradise that I've been wanting to get for a long time. Terry Moore was there, and I've interviewed him a couple of times before. Once for the blog, and then once last year for the podcast. We had a good long interview. But I'd also spoken with him at one point when he was in Dallas about, I don't know, maybe 3-4 years ago. I wanted to talk with him again, and I had him sign a few things. And then I decided to go ahead and get Strangers in Paradise Omnibus because I wanted to get it directly from him because he gets more of a cut. And I didn't know this, but it was significantly cheaper than, let's say, getting it through Amazon, even used. And so he signed it and everything.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So, yeah, that was cool.
Can't beat that.
Yeah. But, nonetheless, it was a little pricey. So that was the only thing I got.
At least it's something you love.
Was it a pretty meaty omnibus? Or?
Oh, yeah. And it's a box set. It's in 2 volumes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's much chunkier than, let's say, his Rachel Rising omnibus, which is really big. But Strangers in Paradise went on for a lot longer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a good time at the Dallas Con. What about upcoming conventions? Do you guys have any plans over the next several months?
I personally don't, just because being a student and being pretty strapped for cash, I just can't justify spending $60 on a ticket and then spending more at the con.
Yeah.
So I'll probably end up being the one working here and letting somebody else go.
What a nice guy.
Yeah.
I try.
As far as conventions go, I don't think I'll be able to do any major traveling until the end of November of this year. It's kind of hard to use any kind of personal time when you just start a new job.
Yeah.
So
and you just started?
Yeah. November of last year, so I won't get any vacation time until later on.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard without... Like, let's say if I take off one day, like I did last week, had some car trouble. So I had to spend a couple of days after work just extra, making up that time.
Yeah.
Because I don't have any sick days or anything like that. So
yeah, you're kind of a unique position.
Right. Otherwise, if I had my last job, I would have had like 3 weeks worth of traveling. I probably would have gone somewhere. I think the only main conventions that I normally would go to were like A-Kon or something like that, but I don't know if major American comic artists hang out at Acon or anything like that. So,
and that's in the DFW area,
right?
Yeah, because I think my daughter has wanted to go to that, and I've even offered to go with her. Not that she would want to see me there with it, but we just haven't.
Yeah, it's a bit chaotic in the afternoon, so you have to go as early as possible. Yeah,
it can be a madhouse for sure.
Yeah, the next one that I'm going to be going to is Heroes Con. Well, I know I'm going to Heroes Con, but I don't think I'm going to anything con-wise before then.
Right.
But that's in June, heading down to Carolina.
Texas Frightmare Weekend?
What?
Texas Frightmare Weekend?
I do not even know what that is.
You would think that would be in like October, right?
It's the weekend of Free Comic Book Day, actually. May 5th through 7th. And it's a local horror convention.
Well, I'm sure that Freddie will be there.
Oh, of course he is. He's spending all day Sunday there.
Yeah. I didn't even know about that, so I guess I'm not going.
Fair enough.
Plus, if I'm going to be here for Free Comic Book Day that Saturday, then I'll probably need to do other things that weekend.
Right.
True. Very true.
But anyway, so I wanted to bring up the whole con thing. I thought that maybe at least one person here on the On Location show would have gone to the Dallas Con.
Sorry.
That's okay.
No.
I want to get your take on it. If you thought it was as crowded as I did, but it was terrible.
I heard from Craig actually that it was very crowded, and it seemed like the space wasn't fully utilized, but the artists and all the celebrities that they have were great.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was good. So now I know that, Matt, you've brought something that you wanted to introduce to everyone.
Yes, it is a Pacific Northwest Canadian horror anthology called Bones of the Coast, edited by Shannon Campbell, Jeff Ellis, and Kathleen Jacques. And you can find it on cloudscapecomics.com. And it has more than 20 different editors or contributors just in the comic itself. And full color.
A horror anthology, full color.
Anthology. And it's very meaty. Mm-hmm. I was kind of surprised after I got the PDF months and months ago that...
it was as big as it was?
It was very lengthy. I was very surprised. I thought it was just going to be there's some there's some pretty gruesome stuff in there. What I like about it is some of the horror stories don't end with a happy ending. You know, some of the best horror stories don't end that way. So, I mean...
Now, you kickstarted this, right?
Yes, I did.
You were telling me before we started to record.
Yes,
so,
I got it on the cheap.
Well, not necessarily.
Oh, I got the early bird version, so...
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so when did this kickstart? Because every now and again I check Kickstarter, not as frequently as I probably should. I don't remember seeing this at all.
I think it was sometime early last year. I believe they had problems with printing, and they delayed the Kickstarter version for about 6 months. And I just recently got my physical copy about a couple weeks ago, so...
Okay.
Yeah. But otherwise, I totally recommend it. It has some my fave, my girl, Abby Howard, does a little short story in there that doesn't end so well for the main character, but that's just how it is sometimes.
And is this something that people can get at other bookstores, via Amazon? Do you know?
I think it's just on the indie website, cloudscapecomics.com. I think there's just a Vancouver independent site.
And they don't sell through Amazon.
Don't quote me. I'm not completely sure, but
not that we
it's
have
very
to know,
possible.
But yeah, I'm just curious.
You can check real quick
if our listeners are. So, I'm interested in this.
It takes 2 seconds.
Nick check. That's what we're calling it.
Yeah, fast with the phone.
Yeah, he is.
It seems you are not able to get it on Amazon, actually.
Okay, well, that's quick.
But it's $25 on the
website.
Yeah,
of the publisher.
Yes.
Okay, and what is that URL again that people can go to?
It's cloudscapecomics.com.
There you go. So if you want to check that out.
Yep.
Bones of the Coast.
Yes.
Horror anthology.
Yeah. But that's pretty much just what I've been reading over the past couple of weeks, and I've been kind of busy beyond that since our last interview, so I don't really have very much to contribute this time.
I've got something interesting. It's actually a new anime film that came out recently that I'd like to talk about. Okay. It's called Your Name.
Your Name?
Yes.
My name or your name?
It's Your Name.
It's your name and then a period, but yeah.
Who's on first base?
Okay. Yeah.
Love that joke. It's almost 50% made solely by Makoto Shinkai. And it's a story about these two young teenagers, and all of a sudden they wake up in each other's body. The boy lives in Tokyo, of course, and the girl lives out in the country. And so they try to figure out what exactly is going on. Why are we changing bodies randomly? Because they'll go to sleep one night, and then the next morning they'll just wake up in a body. And then the next day they'll wake up in their own body, and it goes back and forth like this for quite a long time. And there is a special event that's occurring where a comet is going to be seen in the sky for the first time in like 1,400 years or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a body-swapping comedy, yet also romance film at the same time, because they both, of course, start to fall in love with each other through this sort of learning about each other's lives and things like this. And it's absolutely stunning. Absolutely beautiful. It's only playing for about a week or two in theaters.
So it's in the theaters, not like a new serial.
It's actually in theaters. It's an hour 45 minutes, and if you are able to watch it, go check it out. It's amazing. I left there just in complete awe. I think it's his best work by far.
It's your name.
Your Name, yes.
Okay. So you have two people who are attracted to one another, and they keep switching their consciousness in the other's body.
Yes. Yeah.
That's got to be problematic, right?
Oh,
well,
it starts out pretty problematic.
It's very funny, though.
Oh, so you've seen it too.
I went with him to actually go see it.
Him, myself, and Craig went to go see it.
We've been busy.
Yeah. Three Musketeers.
Well, yeah, you could say that.
Yeah.
But, of course, when they first figure that this is happening, they just are completely bewildered of, okay, what's going on? I have these...
Yeah, a teenage boy and a teenage girl
and
switch bodies, some wacky hijinks.
Of course.
So.
Yeah. And of course, being a guy and girl, they have completely separate personalities. So when she comes back to her body, they'll go, "Oh, you were acting really scary and, really aggressive yesterday. What was going on?" She goes, "I have no idea," because they have no memory.
Right. And then they start leaving notes to each other, slowly figuring things out while... the people around them are bewildered about why they're acting the way they are when it's, actually a guy in the girl's body and the girl in the man's body. So, aggressive and feminine traits,
Yeah.
So
it's very interesting, to say the least.
It's like if a more interesting version of Freaky Friday.
Yes, I would completely agree with that.
Yeah.
This is the second time within about, I don't know, maybe a week and a half that Freaky Friday has come
Oh, really?
up.
What?
Because there was, it came up when we were recording, Paul and I, the latest previews episode, because one of the upcoming Image titles, this is the one where Gail Simone is writing, and I can't remember the title, but it's one where two people switch, and I think like a housewife and a police officer or detective, I'm not sure, but it's something like that, and they make a reference to Freaky Friday.
Huh. Okay. That's weird that it comes up twice in such a short period of time.
Yeah. We have a Freaky Friday tendency in our culture right now,
I guess.
Yeah.
but that does sound interesting, and that's playing where here in the DFW area?
So here in the DFW area,
In select theaters.
Gone
Yeah.
at Cinemark right now, but it is playing at the Alamo Draft House from Thursday till next Tuesday.
Okay. Who am I kidding? I never get away to films. As much as I'd like to think, okay, this weekend I will get away and see a movie, I haven't.
Just wait till the digital version comes out. Yeah.
It will be out soon, since of course it is a Japanese film that it was released back in August of 2016. and it was just released for us. So I'd say give it about 2 to 3 months, and it should come out on DVD and digital and all that.
Right,
Okay.
just like any other kind of movie that makes it to theaters. And no?
Except for Shin Godzilla.
Oh, that's right.
We have still not seen a release of that, and I am hankering real bad for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to get a Blu-ray of that.
But
Well, something else. See, I never see things in the theater, and I still need to catch up with things on the small screen.
Mm-hmm.
But you were talking about things since the last time we were here recording. Remember
Right.
last time I said I still have not finished seeing the second season of Daredevil, and I haven't started Luke Cage. I have now finished the second season of Daredevil. I have now started to watch Luke Cage. So I haven't seen Iron Fist at all.
I haven't
I've
either.
watched, I think, up to episode 6, so I really can't,
Yeah, but I like Daredevil well enough. But I really like Luke Cage, and I think my wife and I have seen the first maybe 4 episodes of that.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it.
Okay.
I haven't even started Luke Cage.
Wow.
It's
That's okay because I'm.
I think you have plenty of time. It's in August or September is for Defenders.
I believe that's right. I mean,
So-
I have summer vacation coming up soon, so I'll be binging everything that I can.
Have you watched any of Legion yet?
I have not, actually.
That's something I highly recommend. The first season, I think it's 8 episodes, 1 hour long each. It just ended, and season 2 it got. Can you say renewed? The show got renewed.
Renewed or
for
greenlit
season
for
2.
second season?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
renewed.
definitely gonna continue. So, and highly recommended by me.
And
at
what
least, so.
what channel is Legion on?
FXX?
FXX.
Yeah,
I think that's
It's
right.
like their new premium channel or whatever.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you could probably just find someplace to stream it on,
Yeah.
like I did.
Bad.
I know. But I
Oh,
will,
you're talking about streaming illegitimately.
well, no, I have an Amazon Fire Stick, so
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But no, I mean, if and when the DVD comes out, I'll definitely purchase that as well. So I like the series a lot. So
Well, I still need to watch
Yeah.
Doctor Strange.
You haven't
Well,
seen
I
Doctor
have
Strange
not
yet.
seen
Wow.
Doctor Strange yet.
yeah,
Have you seen Logan yet?
No, I have not seen Logan. Again, what did I say earlier?
I know.
rarely get out to
Right.
see films.
right. Oh, just
Because last month you guys were suggesting, or a couple of you were suggesting that I go out to see Logan, and
Right.
that it would be something that my wife would appreciate. I thought as well, because it has both Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart,
Right.
both of which she's enamored of to various degrees, especially Patrick Stewart.
oh, aren't we all?
But we haven't yet.
Just wait a few months until it comes out, where you can easily either download it or purchase it in a store.
Yeah.
Definitely worth watching, though.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I have no gripes about it whatsoever.
So, in addition to, let's say, Bones of the Coast, what comics are you guys reading now, or keeping up with now, or plan to in the very near future?
So I'm currently reading Heathen.
Heathen gets a lot of love in this shop.
It's fantastic.
Is that because of Sabrina? But she's keeps
Sabrina and
singing
I
the-
kind of?
It's actually it's actually a pretty fantastic book.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that is from this new publisher. Was it Vault?
Yes.
I
Vault
believe
Comics?
so.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fantastic. It was also put in, I think, Heavy Metal magazine for a little bit, and then they transferred it over.
Okay.
That's been fantastic. The new run of Rat Queens was very promising, the first issue, because come to find out, they're all back together, of course, and one of the main character's brothers actually created his own team of mercenaries, essentially, and they're all goofy doubles, essentially, of the Rat Queens. And so it looks like to be a fun time. I'm not expecting anything super serious. That's just kind of my have fun, relax book.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's normally a fun title.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Yeah, we discussed that first issue of this new volume, or season, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Right.
I don't like. I've said it before on the show. I don't like the term season for what we do in print, but a lot of people use it. But we reviewed that a few weeks ago.
Okay.
I guess that right when it came out, and we both really liked it. Andy and I.
It seems very promising. I'm excited to see where they go. Actually, issue 2 just came out today. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just try to keep up with Shade the Changing Girl and Harrow County. Issue 7, I think, just came out last week or the week before. And it's gotten interesting again because...
issue 7, you mean?
Yeah, what'd I say? I thought issue 7.
Harrow County is...
Black Hammer. I don't know why I said
Okay, I was about to say, yeah, that's been around a long time.
Yeah, Harrow County is on issue
months.
22, sorry. Okay. But Black Hammer, somebody else significant got trapped in the town. So it's going to get very interesting from here on out, depending on what the heroes decide to do about. But yeah, Nick actually brought me on to Headlopper the last time I was here. I got the, I guess it was issue 7.
It's issue 5.
Issue 5, and he got me the trade a few weeks before that. So,
well, Image is getting a lot of love.
Yeah,
Image is great. They've been doing things right, and I honestly can't complain. I do have something here that's quite interesting. It was actually recommended to me by local artist Andy Hirsch, and it's Rock Candy Mountain, about a hobo who's train hopping and fighting across the country, is I believe how he described it to me, in search of some sort of promised land.
Rock Candy Mountain.
Yes.
Well, okay, let me guess something.
Yeah.
You don't regularly check out our podcast, do you?
I don't have the time.
Okay, see, there you go. Because you're describing this to me. It's like, oh, you may be interested in this. Actually, a couple weeks ago, we interviewed Kyle Starks for the podcast,
of course.
and we specifically talked about this. Lovely. And I'm just playing with you. No, but it really is a great first issue, and I like Kyle and the kind of stuff that he does. I mean, he's the one who did Sex Castle. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's currently doing Rick and Morty, but the creator-owned stuff, he was known a few years ago for releasing Sex Castle, and now this is his series, his ongoing series. It's just a fun premise. You have hobos fighting and traveling in post-war America.
That would sound awful, I guess, if it wasn't coming from a comic.
Yeah, it really would. Well, and it sounded very similar to Shaolin Cowboy in a sense, that I figured that I would check it out. I haven't gotten a chance to read it yet, of course, but...
Well, I like Shaolin Cowboy, but the thing about Shaolin Cowboy is it's all in the art. Because if you're reading that title, the original ones, the more recent, and then now I guess the new one's about to come out. If you're reading it for the story, it's kind of thin.
Yeah.
But I would guess that people don't read that for the story.
I read it for just some good fashion martial arts silliness.
Martial arts and the art.
Yeah, and the art is absolutely fantastic. But
yeah, Darrow does great stuff.
What else has been?
But yeah, that's really good, and I'm looking forward to see what he does with this. Kyle Starks.
Do we know if it's going to be a miniseries or if it's going to be ongoing?
Right now, it's going to be an ongoing. He is going to be doing. In fact, we were talking with him about this on the interview. That I can't remember how long this first arc is going to be, but he's going to release it in volume seasons, whatever you call it, but just see how it resonates.
Okay.
So he's going to be doing something similar to Rich Tommaso. And we even brought up Rich on our interview from the other week. Do you remember about a year and a half ago, maybe a little longer than that, Rich Tommaso started, again with Image, Dark Corridor.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And he had planned on making that an ongoing series. And he had planned, I think maybe for the first 5 or 7 issues to be that first volume. And then he had gotten into, I think ultimately it ended up being 7 issues. after the first few issues, the interest just wasn't there, and so he had to abandon his plans to turn it to keep it as an ongoing and make it a limited series. So what he ended up doing is truncating the story, because we talked to him on the show after this happened, and he was saying, if I knew now what I knew then, I would have done something different with the story. And so he used a different strategy with his current title, She-Wolf. With the first volume, he wanted to do that as a self-contained story just to see what kind of interest there was. And if there was enough, then he would bring back another story arc and so on and so forth, which is a smarter way of doing things.
Definitely.
And, he learned things the hard way. And so Kyle is... I don't know if he talked to Rich about this, but he's definitely doing something to what like Rich is doing now with She-Wolf, is to see what kind of interest there is for that first volume.
It makes sense. That's actually a really smart thing to do.
Yeah, and especially coming up with something like Image, where he has to pay for this, right? So
exactly,
to a large degree.
And it's the thing, if he has to pay for a lot of it, but at the same time he gets the freedom to do this, and it's not something that he might get stuck with if it doesn't resonate.
Right. Yeah, so that's really good. On the topic of Image, I wanted to ask you guys: have either of you read God Country?
I read the first issue, and that's about all that I've been able to check out yet.
Because I have been hearing so many good things about God Country, and people saying, "Oh, it's one of the best titles of the year. It's one of the best titles I've read in a long time. This is going to really take off." And, I like the Donny Cates work that I've read previously. He did the Paybacks, and I really enjoyed that. He did Buzzkill, that I thought was pretty good. But, it's like, wow, everybody keeps talking about God Country. And I feel remiss not having read. What issue are they up to now? Is it
it's on issue 3 right now, yes.
So I wondered if you guys had an experience with it.
Not at all.
I read the first issue, and I will say it was very intriguing. But I haven't gotten a chance to check it out, and honestly, not many people at the shop, I don't think, have been picking it up. So I don't know where all the praise is coming from, personally.
Well, he has a new series that's going to begin next week, Rednecks, which is about Southern vampires.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're Southern. I know they're vampires.
It just sounds silly.
Redneck, yeah.
I'm sure I'll check out the first issue just to see what shenanigans happen.
Oh, right,
Can't say no to that.
Well, so much about finding out more about God Country.
I know.
I was hoping.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't contribute.
I'll try to brush up a little bit, and then I'll say something.
But you're busy. You're in school.
I am. Being in school and working here, I've no time for fun, really.
Yeah. Even though, ironically, you work in a comic shop, so.
Oh, yeah.
Do you get to read while things are slow or slow-ish?
I do. It definitely is really hard for me to read while on the job, though, because I don't do well with distractions in between reading something. Usually I'm a person that wants to read a whole issue through, whereas if I get stopped in the middle of it, I have to pretty much go back to the beginning and restart because I can't focus again.
Yeah.
I will say there was one fun thing that happened recently. It was a one-shot from Antarctic Press called President Evil.
Oh, I was just about to say.
So, President Evil?
It's exactly what it sounds like.
Trump?
Yeah.
Yes.
And Hillary.
What happens is it goes through the recent presidential election, and of course Trump wins and gets called by Obama to a secret facility where they've found the cure to the zombie problem that has been plaguing the nation. Well, come to find out, they really didn't find a cure for it. They've just been holding them there with a special kind of serum that makes them docile. So what happens is, I believe Hillary ends up showing up, and Trump and Hillary start fighting, and Trump ends up falling down into the chasm where all the zombies are. And they can't bite him because his skin is too leathery and all of this just silliness. And he ends up talking to them and essentially leads the zombies to the White House or whatnot, and of course becomes president. And there's going to be a sequel under a different name. I can't remember the name off the top of my head.
Making the Dead Great Again.
But it's going to be Mad Max Fury Road style.
Yeah.
It was just a silly, fun read, and it actually sold surprisingly well up here.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you do get to read titles like that while you're working.
Just occasionally. It was kind of hidden in the corner of the previews, I guess, that 1 week or 1 month.
Oh, I made sure to comb through, and when I found it, and order a bunch of them.
And what was that? What was the Mad Max one where I guess President Trump is supposed to be Immortal Joe or something like that?
That's what he's supposed to be. I'm going to get on
Supposed to be what?
Immortal Joe?
a Morton Joe.
A Morton Joe?
I think it is.
I thought it was Immortal Joe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
From Fury Road.
Yeah.
Mad Max.
Okay, see, I didn't see.
What? The movie's been out forever.
Movie is fantastic.
No, not forever, just...
Well, relatively.
Yeah. As you're looking this up, I mean, I find it curious. In fact, this is the second time this topic has come up today for me. How might Trump be represented in the comics over the next few years?
I think he's being represented pretty comedically lately.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, and I'm excluding things like editorial cartoons, things of that sort, or Doonesbury, because I mean that's where he's normally treated. But in terms of sequential storytelling, comic books, graphic novels, whatever you want to call them, we don't have that many instances of him. But again, it's early in the presidency, and the reason where this came up earlier today is this afternoon I interviewed Michael Urey, who has a new book out or about to come out called Hero A Go-Go, which looks at the swinging 60s and the era of camp. And he has a section there on how both JFK and LBJ were represented in comics.
Right.
And both of them got a lot of page time in comics of the 1960s. And we were speculating, there really hasn't been a president since then, outside of maybe Reagan, definitely Obama, that has gotten as much attention in comics as JFK and LBJ. JFK usually it was in a very respectful way. With LBJ, many times it was making fun of him because he looks like a funny figure. He looked like a funny figure, kind of tall. He had the Southern drawl, the Texas drawl. The long face, the nose, the long earlobes, and so he was drawn funny. I mean, you can like him, you can like his policy, but you have to admit the guy had the look of funny.
Sure.
Yeah. So he was represented quite a bit in comics. JFK was. Obama got a lot of attention in comics over the past several years. Will Trump get the same amount of attention? I don't know.
Respectfully? Probably not.
Definitely not respectfully.
I think
I'm not even talking about whether it's respectful or not. I'm just talking – I mean, will he pop up only to make fun of him?
Probably. Yeah, most definitely.
What's going to happen?
Yeah.
I mean, we've already seen something like that in Eric Powell's Satan Sodomy Baby 2 that came out last year. A lot of it was based on Trump. Now, this is before the election, but he was the nominee by this point.
Right.
So I don't know if you guys read that.
No, not at all. That's totally surprising.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, okay, if you can, get your hands on not only Satan Sodomy Baby 2, but the first Satan Sodomy Baby from several years ago.
Okay.
And the thing is, Powell is never going to reprint those, right? So you got them when they came out, or you don't. That's it. You'd have to get them from someone else, buy them used, or get a scammed copy or something.
Like, I'm sure there's you can buy maybe a digital issue or something like that.
I don't think so.
No?
No.
Wow.
So it just print, from what I understand, just around for as long as that first printing sold, and then no more. So it's very difficult to find an issue of Satan's Sodomy Baby, the original. And the original is much more filthy than the second one. The second one is also really raunchy, but I don't think it has the same amount of, or the impact of raunch as the first one does.
Right.
But the second one that came out last year primarily features Donald Trump.
Oh, fantastic!
And for good reason. So
I feel like he's just going to get the Mad Magazine treatment.
yeah, and that's primarily how he's been represented in comics. But I'm wondering if, in any way whatsoever, he will become a part of any story of significance.
I think it would probably have to be years from now before anything like that happens, just because everything around him is full of controversy. People don't know exactly what's going on, and when
He doesn't know what's going on.
yeah, well, that's for sure. But I mean, when the public has actual facts about how he did this, why, and stuff like that, he may be given a serious role in something or other, like a historical comic or something like that, where it has a figurehead talking to Trump about something, and he's trying to look serious while looking Trump.
I don't think either him or Clinton will be shown other than in a satirical way. Just
Clinton? Are you talking about which Clinton?
Hillary.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm talking about presidents. I'm not talking about people who run for president. I'm just talking about presidents and how they're portrayed and what roles they play in comics.
I think the way that they're taken nowadays is in a comical turn. That's what he means, is that Hillary and Trump are not taken seriously. People, it's this...
Because Obama was used actually pretty well in some of the Spider-Man stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was great, but I think currently it's not possible, just for fear of alienating their readership.
Right.
Of if they pick one side to possibly say, oh yeah, we're going to show Trump in a light that is showing him as a great man and great president and whatnot. I'm not saying that he's not or whatnot, but...
Oh, go ahead, say that.
I mean, I don't believe he is at all. But that could definitely alienate the people that hate him. And if they show him in a absolutely terrible light, not making fun of, but just portray him as this disgusting villain, then they're going to alienate his supporters.
Okay, this is the question to ask, though. Are his supporters the ones who are going to be buying the comics? Are his supporters the one who actually are able to read? Good on us. No, I'm serious here. I mean, I don't think that creators really worry too much about how they're going to piss off potential readers politically. Now, maybe publishers, big publishers, are going to worry
about that.
There was
that X-Men Gold #1 that came out recently that had some controversy. Yeah, it was like something about the Shadowcat was making a speech, and in the background it had some like numbers or something from the Quran or something like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
But again, that's a major publisher, right? With Marvel, so they have to worry about things like that in ways that, like independent creators or smaller presses don't.
Yeah, I can definitely see some independent creators doing it, but for people like Boom and Image and all of them, I can see them maybe holding off.
And also look what let's say Valiant did with the issue that was released around the time of the election. Now, unfortunately, they bet on the wrong horse with the cover of Faith and Hillary.
That's right.
Oh, yes.
But still, I mean, they were able to do something, and they didn't take what I would have called the cheap way out, thinking, okay, we have one on the cover, we must have the other. Because, I mean, to me, that's when you start approaching false equivalency, right?
Yeah.
It's like we have to honor, we pay tribute to one, or at least represent one. We have to do the same thing with the other.
Right.
No, you don't. Especially if one just inherently embodies things that seem to work against whatever an individual or even a company stands for, or a medium, really.
Yeah.
Right.
In terms of things like free speech and fair representation and things of that sort. So, so unfortunately they were ready for a Hillary presidency, but then again, all of us were.
Right.
Yeah.
For better or for worse. I mean, that's what we were ready for.
Nothing we can do about it now.
Yeah. So, but I do think that he will be used in ways that may be reminiscent of the ways that Richard Nixon was represented in comics, both during and then after his presidency.
How much time had passed before he was ever given a serious representation, though? Because most of the time,
Nixon,
it's I
don't know I can't point out instances while he was president, except, okay, what was that classic Captain American story where the villain is actually the president, Nixon?
Oh,
You're not talking about the Red Skull thing? No.
And this took place during the 70s, and I don't know if this was during Watergate or it's after he left office. I cannot remember.
Right.
I don't know that timeline, honestly.
Yeah, but some of our listeners right now are saying, "Hey, you don't know this." Well, write us and let me know that I should know that.
Right.
But that might be an instance. I'm not sure. But also a more famous example of Nixon being used, maybe even arguably an indirect way, is with Watchmen. Mm-hmm. Right? Because in this futuristic alternate history, if we want to look at it this way, it is an America where Nixon gets more than 2 terms.
Right.
Because we don't have Reagan in the 1980s. We have this Nixon.
What time was Watchmen published via his presidency, though?
What?
When was Watchmen?
80s. Yeah, mid-80s.
6, I want to say,
it began around the mid-80s.
So about 8 to 10 years after.
Yeah. So instead of taking, let's say, almost a predictable role, right? This dystopic America with Reagan as a president, which was for many people the mood back then.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people revere him right now, but I remember living through the 1980s as a young college student and even a high school student, and that kind of disgust, at least with some in the younger generation, people that I hung out with, was definitely there. And so it would have been easy to make Reagan the bad president in the world of Watchmen. But what Alan Moore did, he twisted that screw and made a Nixon figure who was able to hold on to office longer than 8 years.
Well, if you want to see a bad Reagan presidency, just watch Futurama.
Or go back and read through your history books.
Right.
Very
like even worse than that.
No, I think I can see somebody doing that with Trump. Maybe not immediately, but over time, I can see somebody doing it.
Yeah, I'd give it a few years.
Very similar to the Watchmen of just doing a dystopian future where he was, for lack of a better term, Emperor Trump, as I like to call him. I'd be very interested to see when that comes out and how it's received.
Yeah, he has to be a little bit out of our minds before we start taking him seriously, so to speak, or giving him a serious role in something.
Let's move on to a much more pleasant topic. Just something besides Trump.
Sure.
Ponies and candy.
No.
Sorry.
So we're coming up on the summer, not too far from now. What are you guys looking forward to in terms of either comics or even, let's say, film?
The new Spider-Man film that's coming out?
Yes.
Yeah.
That looks to be quite promising.
Keep releasing good trailers for it.
I know that in about, I think it's 3 weeks, so beginning-ish of when summer is Colossal coming out, the new Anne Hathaway movie, where she is telepathically linked to a monster.
A kaiju.
A kaiju, yes. Yeah. And it starts rampaging everywhere, and it does everything that she does.
Yeah.
And it looks to be just a fun, silly time. Honestly, I haven't been keeping up much with new releases and whatnot. I probably should look into that since I have such a backlog of books. I'll probably end up binge reading Headlopper, hoping to pick up some more of Love and Rockets. I actually started reading that recently.
Now, last week, the second issue of, I guess, this new volume, or whatever you want to call it, of Love and Rockets came out.
Yeah.
And I still have to read my copy because I think we're going to be talking about it on next week's podcast episode.
Okay.
Nice.
Because we always try to read and discuss an issue of Love and Rockets for the podcast whenever it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually read the first issue of this new volume a couple weeks ago, because we had gotten a copy in for Andy Hirsch again, and he didn't need it because they had done some odd reprinting or whatnot. And that was actually my first Love and Rockets that I've ever read.
Okay, so this is it. Okay, I want to ask you a question now. And, well, let me ask Matt. Did you read that Love and Rockets?
Not at all.
Okay. So, Nick, you said the first issue of this new incarnation of Love and Rockets is the first Love and Rockets you've ever read.
Yes.
Okay. Did you feel that you could get into it and, for the most part, understand what was going on in the relationships, or did you feel lost?
I felt a little lost, honestly.
Okay.
That's definitely that's why I'm going to go find some of the older stuff.
Okay.
Because, it was, I could feel kind of what was going on, but I really want to know more.
Yeah. And the reason I'm asking this is because I feel that as good as Love and Rockets is, and Love and Rockets is like one of my favorites. I'll always read it. I love the stuff. Not every story that both Jaime and Gilbert tell is out of the park, but the series as a whole is just phenomenal. The individual work that those brothers do, outstanding. So I'm on board for whatever they do. And sometimes, in the case with Gilbert, they do really, really wild things. And if you've read any issue of Blubber, you know what I'm talking about. Apparently you haven't, because you'd be laughing in a way that makes you feel bad and guilty. It is. Do you want to call it pornographic? Yeah, I guess. But it's just he doesn't care kind of writing, and just letting it all go and seeing how far he can take things. Okay, but back to Love and Rockets. With that comic, there is such a long history of both the world of, let's say, Gilbert's world, which had been Palomar, the post-Palomar world, now where we are with Luba and her larger family and Fritz and all that. And then with Jaime and the Locust stories, Maggie and Hopi and the people surrounding them. So there's such a long history, and both of them have carried the various characters of their world from the early 1980s to today. And so worlds have evolved, characters have changed, they've grown old and all of that. Now, there's over 30 years of Love and Rockets that we have right now, and so there's a lot of backstory. Yeah. So picking up an issue like this, issue 1 that came out last month of the new Love and Rockets, I would just assume that you would be completely lost.
Yeah, it was pretty disjarring, but it gave me enough, I think, to want to go back and figure out what's going on exactly.
Yeah, because people have told me before that they want to read Love and Rockets. They think that they should because they've heard so many good things, but they're intimidated because it's like, I liken it to, let's say, William Faulkner's Yoknapatawpha County. You pick up one story. Well, it's not really like that. Okay, let's say you pick up A Rose for Emily, right? You can understand A Rose for Emily on its own terms. But the world of Yoknapatawpha County that is embedded in that short story, A Rose for Emily, you get to see much more of in most of his other narratives, his novels and his stories and whatnot. But you don't need to know those other things in order to appreciate A Rose for Emily. With Love and Rockets, I do think that it's a good idea to know some of that backstory, but like Faulkner's world in Yoknapatawpha County, what you find in any single issue or any story, for the most part, in Love and Rockets, it's going to be connected to a much larger web that has been and continues to be spun for over 30 years now.
That's definitely a lot of back reading to do.
Yeah, and it's similar to some degree to superhero worlds, right? So the DC universe, the Marvel universe, and things of that sort. However, the difference between Love and Rockets and superheroes, I think, is every now and again the big two will, if not reboot, then frame stories in such a way that readers can at least partially maybe get caught up. Or if they reboot, then they don't have to get caught up because they can just start afresh, right? But there are ways of trying to find the backstory in the worlds of the big two, and if nothing else, you have extensive Wikipedia entries on all the major characters and events and whatnot.
They're also highly ingrained into our society now,
right?
That you can talk to a little kid who's probably never read a Spider-Man comic and go, "Oh yeah, I know who Spider-Man is,"
and you know how he became Spider-Man,
exactly,
right? And you know who his Uncle Ben was.
You know who Uncle Ben is. You know his powers, and you've never read a comic, never seen the movie,
right? So, you pick up an issue number one of the new Love and Rockets, and you see references to Fritz and Fritz imitators, and you're going, what the hell is this? Who is Fritz, and why are they imitating her? Why are so many people, with gigantic breasts?
Yes.
Yeah, Matt, if you're not familiar with it, he was shaking his head because this is not a video podcast. You couldn't see Matt's reaction. But no, there's a reason for all of this. And so Fritz and the Fritz imitators, they're linked to earlier Love and Rocket stories because Fritz is the half-sister of Luba. Luba is, for all practical purposes, the matriarch of the Palomar world, which is where the Love and Rockets in the first volume originally started, for the most part, with Gilbert. And Fritz, who had been a psychologist, now is a major porn star who is aging. And so the Fritz imitators are young actresses who want to be like Fritz, who look like Fritz, who sometimes make themselves and change themselves to look like Fritz, to have the same success in the porn industry because she's a big celebrity. Huh. But again, all of this is linked to a much wider, broader web that has been spun for over 30 years now. And so when you pick up that issue, I would just imagine not knowing anything about the back world of either Gilbert or Jaime. You're scratching your head. And it would be a big barrier to entry. And I think it does become intimidating.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely sounds intricate, for sure.
Yeah. And that's actually something that I'm looking for right now, is something that I can really sink my teeth into.
Yeah. Well, the place to start is, and I would suggest doing it in order if you can, but I don't think you necessarily have to. Over the past several years, Fantagraphics has been putting out this nice new collection of Love and Rockets volumes that I think are nice and containable. They with both Gilbert and with Jaime. So the Locus with Jaime, and then the Worlds of Palomar and Beyond with Gilbert. And I can't remember how many volumes now that we have in, and I think it's called the Love and Rockets Library. But I would go there, and I would start at the very beginning, some of the earliest stories. And so get those volumes, because there have been multiple collections of Love and Rockets, different kinds of volumes and collections. But this most recent one that started several years ago, maybe 2008, 2009, they've been putting them out, I think is really good. And they're containable. They have enough story in them, but you get a good chunk of Love and Rockets in each volume.
How many... how quickly do the new issues of the new volume come out?
Quarterly?
It's going to be quarterly now.
So you got some time.
Yeah, I definitely have some time.
It comes out every other week.
Yeah, issue 2 hasn't come in yet, so.
Okay.
I thought in fact...
It came out, but I didn't get it onto my subscription fast enough for us to order a copy, so I'm still waiting on mine.
Really? So there's not one in the store?
There's not.
Right now? Wow.
Does it fly off the shelf whenever you get it in?
Honestly, we haven't had any in the store ever, I don't think.
No, you have, because I've gotten an issue here.
Have you? Okay. Yeah. I know recently I haven't seen any in the store, so I might...
Is it just because nobody orders it, so you can't put it on the shelf, or?
Only reason I found I picked up issue 1 is because Andy had already picked up his copy, and we had an extra.
Okay.
So I might try to keep one in the shop to steer people in this direction, and one of the graphic novel or the collections, of course, to try to get people started so they're not.
I would be surprised if there's not any of the volumes here right now of the Love and Rockets librand, because
he's going to go check.
He's checking now.
It's a good thing to
good shop employee. But yeah, because they've been around for so long, and I don't know how popular they are, but Love and Rockets is a staple, right?
Well, 30 years is quite impressive. Yeah,
yeah. You have no volume?
I have
none. And you looked under Hernandez.
It's all alphabetical.
Yeah. So by title.
Yes.
Okay. Well, actually, each volume would have its own title, but it still would be Love and Rockets, and then I think.
Right.
Yeah, we usually put Love and Rockets all under the same,
Okay. Well, definitely get into it, and there's a lot of reading, though. I have to warn you.
I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm a fast reader, so.
So something you can do this summer.
Yes,
sure.
For sure.
In fact, that's something that I've been meaning to do. It's been a few years since I went back and reread the Love and Rocket stuff. And every now and again I'll do that. I'll start at the very beginning and then reread everything up to where we are now. again, it's just a series that I absolutely love.
Right.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
to get more of it.
there's a couple of series that I've been meaning to get back to that are pretty old. The Max, and then the original Shade the Changing Man, and those issues are just hard to find, or they are not on the shelf. So
Now, you said
the Max,
yeah. Sam Keith?
yeah, the original, not maximized.
Okay, because
Yeah.
they're reprinting
The original.
the original in the Max Maximized. That's what the Max Maximized is.
Oh, I thought that was like a volume 2 thing.
No.
No.
This is the original 80s stuff.
Oh, okay.
That they've gone back and just revamped. I guess maybe worked on the art. And I can't remember if the original was in color. I assume it was.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, IDW, are they still doing it?
Oh yeah,
I think so.
I've been seeing them in the previews section every once in a while, and I thought it was a new series for it. I've been totally missing out. I gotta shoot myself in the foot.
I've got to sign off, sadly, and go do my job.
Okay, well, we've been talking for about an hour, so wow, you got to join us and stay a lot longer than we thought.
I'm glad it's been so long. I really miss doing this, honestly.
Yes, well, glad that you can join us. And Nick, thank you very much. Good luck with the rest of the evening selling products.
Woo!
Of course.
Thank you.
So
Yes.
put it back. But yeah, that's what the Max Maximized is.
Okay. Well, now I know what to look out for from now on.
So you can catch up.
Yeah,
Easily enough.
absolutely. Because it is a very interesting series that deals with abuse of all kinds and personal relationships, and it's kind of not like trippy, but not everything is as it seems. You know, you kind of have to piece everything together as the volumes go on and on. So, you know, you don't get a big picture until you get that meaty chunk of issues. So,
Yeah.
I think I'm only up to issue 9 or 10 of the individuals. So if I can find those meaty volumes, then that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I haven't read the Max in a while, but I'd like to take the time at some point in my life and just go back.
What were your
Read.
impressions of it?
I liked it,
Yeah.
but then again, I like the work of Sam Keith. You know, he has that new title that's I think just recently come out from Aftershock, where he's the artist. I can't remember who the writer is. It's something in the Egret is the title.
Search me. I don't know.
I'm blanking here, but anyway, it's something. If you like his art, yeah.
Okay, I'll definitely keep a lookout for it.
Yeah. So, what else might you be looking forward to reading this summer or catching up on?
Oh, that's
Nick's
a good
going to be
question.
busy with Love and Rockets.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to look forward to some of my Kickstarter projects to come in. Because I'm trying to veer away from like Marvel and DC stuff, you know, because we always gush about that. But just reading Monster and Heathen, you know, looking forward to reading more of that. It's gotten into an interesting part. I know on the website, on the she already has Gail Simone. No, I'm trying to remember the author for Heathen off the top of my head.
Oh, it's not Gail Simone.
No. It's the first name that popped in my head.
The author of
yeah, right. Yeah, I think it's already a completed collection, so the individual issues are just coming out for the public, you know. So I haven't read this series before, so reading it now is what I'm doing. So
Yeah. Well, no, you said monster or monstrous?
Monstrous, sorry.
Monstrous.
Yeah.
Okay, I was about to say that the Image series again.
Yeah, I've
Image?
already read all of Monster, the manga, and I've watched all the anime. So
Yeah. Well, I wasn't even thinking about the manga.
Yeah.
Monster, which we talked about last month.
yes, we did.
Yeah.
Which I can't remember. Did you guys ever cover that yet?
Shay and I did on a relatively early manga show. I think they were 4, maybe the 5th volume.
Oh, that's right.
Had come out at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did discuss that.
Okay.
But as I said last month, just recently, I think back in February, I went back and finished everything and even reread some of the earlier stuff that I read. So I've gotten through all 9 of those volumes.
Right.
So next it's on to Master Keaton.
Very nice. Okay.
One thing, if I had time this summer, and I don't, if I had time this summer, one of the things that I would like to do is to use the time to some reread, others read for the first time, all of Astro City.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. Now, how old is that?
Astro City's been around since,
early 50s or?
50? No. You may be thinking about something else. I'm talking about
I think I'm like Astro Boy.
No, not Astro Boy. That's different. That's manga. No,
sorry.
No, Astro City. Kurt Busiek's Astro City.
I'm not sure if I'm familiar with that.
Okay, so now it's being published. Oh, really? Oh, you got to.
I know.
Yeah,
I have so much of the older mangas that I haven't even touched.
Yeah. No, this is being published now by Vertigo.
Oh, okay.
But it had been years ago, and I guess back in the 90s, started, I think, with Image. And what Busiek has done is to create a self-contained world where there are superheroes.
Right.
But what he does in Astro City is he doesn't necessarily focus on just a few of the heroes of that world. He looks at the nooks and crannies of that world, both in terms of the crime fighters and the criminals, but also of other people who are a part of Astro City as well. So think of it as something on a much, much larger and a much more impressive scale than what they did with Marvel's.
Okay.
So you get to see a lot of the stuff going on, sometimes at least, from the ground level.
Right.
And it's about how everything works, and not just with superheroics in this world,
sure,
but day-to-day relations.
Would you say most of the events in the comic take place in the eyes of the civilians looking up to the heroes, or
some of it? Yeah.
Huh, that might be interesting.
And you also get to see a side of the superheroes that is not necessarily, the heroic side, right? So the crime fighter, you get to see them in their relationships or other parts of their lives.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, in that way, it's sophisticated, like, let's say, some of the Netflix series are, right? Where, granted, there's a lot of kicking, punching, but you do get to see, the fighting. And sometimes with Daredevil, I think maybe too much time is spent on that.
Yeah.
Which, a lot of people like that,
that's Daredevil, and I think you'll like Iron Fist a lot better just because it's more about the drama in the first 6 episodes that I've watched than actual action.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But I would like to read from beginning to end up to where it is now. I mean, it's currently being published, Astro City.
How far is it along?
What issue number with Vertigo right now? I can't remember, but it's been with Vertigo for 3 years at least. I can't remember exactly when they started to publish it again. But yeah, I mean, you've gotten a good number of volumes in this current run. Okay. So check that out.
Definitely. I'm always up for good recommendations as far as manga goes.
Well, this is not manga.
Oh, it's not?
No, not because you mentioned manga a couple times. And I'm thinking, no, because you're thinking Astro Boy again. No, Astro City.
Okay. Right.
Very different. I don't know of Vertigo having published any manga that I'm aware of.
No, that's what I was like. They're doing manga now. So I don't know why. We were talking about Monster, and I assumed you were talking about another anime.
No. See, you're too much in the Marvel world, my friend. You need to poke your head above the water.
I do sometimes.
Yeah. Which you're doing now with the Kickstarter stuff.
Yes.
That's good. So, we will be getting back together here at the shop in, I guess, about 2 or 3 weeks with Free Comic Book Day.
That's going to be an all-day event, or are you just showing up midday?
I'm going to be here around 11 o'clock is when we're going to start. Mm-hmm. So I know in the past I came here after things died down, like maybe around 2 o'clock or so. Yeah. But I'm going to get here earlier this year just to see what that's like. So you're going to be around to talk with us?
Yeah, of course.
Craig will as well.
Yeah. Hopefully you won't be busy that day because Andy Hirsch will be here. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure about Joe Eisma. will be here or not?
I don't know. In fact, I ran into Joe at the Dallas Con the other
did you?
weekend. Yeah. And I asked him if he had any plans for Free Comic Book Day, and he said, no, not really.
Yeah. Well, he's been here like these past few years, so I can understand if he wants to take a break and either do something else or just take the day off.
Yeah. And, he was telling me that he's not doing as many cons now.
Right.
He wants to spend more time with the family. So
Of course, yeah. He does a lot of good artwork anyways.
Yeah.
When he's here, he's usually doing sketch issues of stuff, so I'm sure he's busy anyway. So people are always doing commissions on his Facebook website. So always seeing updates. On the Fan Expo, actually, it was like 30 plus commissions, really, really good stuff. So
yeah, he was busy when I saw him there, but he took a few moments to talk with me.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah, of course.
So, but yeah, I will be here, and you will, and then we're going to have a number of others. I'm hoping to talk about the actual comics for Free Comic Book Day, which we don't know until we can't open because we won't get them until Free Comic Book Day.
Right.
So I hope to be able to look through some of them to talk about. So that's great. But Matt and then Nick over there, I want to thank you guys for being a part of this month's On Location episode. Again, I have been, as I am every month, on location at Valhalla Games and Comics in Plano, Texas. They are located at 3100 Independence Parkway in Plano, Texas, on the corner of Independence and Parker. Those guys know their comics. They know a lot of things that they can share with you, recommendations and whatnot. So definitely, if you're in the area, come by and check out Valhalla Games and Comics in Plano, Texas. And then after you do come here to get your comics, or you check these guys out online, you can do that as well. Then get in touch with me and let me know what you think about our on-location shows that we do here at Valhalla every month. If you go to our website, comicsalternative.com, you'll find that you can leave us a voice message online via SpeakPipe. Or you can call us the old-fashioned way by picking up the phone and dialing 4153-COMICS. That's 415-326-6427. You can also email us. We are 2guys@comicsalternative.com, or you can email me directly at derek@comicsalternative.com. You can find us all over social media. We have accounts on Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, Instagram, Google+, Goodreads, Pinterest, and YouTube. Go to those places and look us up. You can subscribe to the podcast through iTunes. You can stream us on Stitcher. You can also find us on TuneIn, on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, and on Google Play Music. But you can find every single one of our podcast episodes, as well as the reviews and comics-related commentary that we post on our blog, simply by going to our website, which is comicsalternative.com. So another great on-location show here at Valhalla, and I look forward to seeing you next month.
Of course.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.